What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down a wide receiver terminology quiz. So I'm going to be giving you 3 separate wide receiver, terms, phrases that you need to know that's going to help you guys with your press releases, your route running, and just your overall football IQ. So I hope this video helps you guys out. And also, fellas, if you're a wide receiver and you want to come train with us this offseason, we're going to be traveling now to 5 different states across the country, starting with Columbus, Ohio. We've already been out to 5 other states this offseason. We're excited to finish off the tour in Columbus, Ohio, then Chicago, Illinois, Dallas, Texas, Nashville, Tennessee, and last camp of the year will be in Los Angeles, California. They're 2-day long camps, 4 hours each day, so it is a ton of training with me and my staff of coaches. And again, we're limiting spots, only 10 to 12 guys per position group. Our Ohio, Chicago, and Dallas camps are almost completely sold out. So again, fellas, if you'd like to work with us, don't hesitate to check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to have you out. We'd love to help your game improve. Let's get started. So first things first with this release. So the main term I want to ask you guys, and I want you guys to know this. So how our quiz videos work is that I'm going to give a term, and then I'm going to give you guys a chance to pause the video, think about what you think the answer would be, and then I'm going to break it down and explain what I mean by the term. Okay, so the first term that we're going to be discussing is going to be a third read release. So what do I mean by when I say third read? 3, the number 3, third release. So go ahead, you guys can pause the video and think about what that means, and then we'll play at full speed. So go ahead and pause the video, and now we're going to break it down. So a third read release is if you answered and you said a longer and slower developing release, you would be 100% correct. Now, I feel like there's really not much, I feel like you either had that answer or you didn't have that answer, right? You either didn't know what I was talking about or you knew exactly what I was talking about. There's kind of no in between. So what do I mean by third read? So on play concepts, quarterbacks have progressions, right? So like, let's say, for example, the play concept is like, let's say this route is going to be like a 5-yard under, and let's say we have maybe like a 10-yard dig, and then maybe we have some kind of like fade on the outside, for example. Maybe the quarterback's supposed to peek the fade, look to the dig, then come back down to us 3. That might not even be a real concept, but just for the sake of the example, maybe that's a concept we're working, right? So the third read is what we are. So what does it mean by a third read release, and why does that mean that we have to take more time? Because we do not want to get to this throwing window too fast. I do not want to come off the line and just be able to go up 3, break back underneath, and get there as quickly as possible, because that quarterback's not going to be ready for me. I'm either going to have to slow down and settle, leaving this DB time to recover, or I'm going to either going to keep running and not be at the window that the quarterback needs me to be at. Timing is important, and timing matters. So let's play this thing full speed. So Keenan Allen decides to go with this kind of slide, hesitation, skip release, and then breaks that thing back off underneath. That is a textbook third read because he's sliding him to the outside. He's taking the tempo to the outside, pressing vertical, getting that DB to bail just like he would on like a diamond release, and then slipping back under to catch the slant or the 5-yard under. Now, what's the difference between a third and a first read release? So if this 5-yard under was like, let's say maybe it's more of a slant, and you're the first read and the quarterback's doing like quick game where he's just catching the snap and then throwing. You would want to go with something quicker, because if you slide to the outside and take forever, you're not going to get to the window as fast as the quarterback needs you to be. So you have to understand tempo. You have to understand when you want to change up tempo on a given route. So let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Allen sliding, giving that move, and then slipping back underneath to keep timing on the third read. Okay, so now, second wide receiver term that you guys can learn is going to be, what do you think I mean by getting skinny? So when I say I want you to get skinny on your stem, what does that mean? Getting skinny. So go ahead and pause the video, and then we'll break this thing down. So go ahead and pause it. And now we're going to talk about it. So getting skinny. If you guys said that means like restacking or getting back into the DB, that would be 100% correct. Now, if you had no idea what I was talking about, this is going to help you out tremendously. So getting skinny is when you have like kind of, I think of it more so, you could do it on an inside release, like if you had to run like an outside breaking route. This is going to be a corner route, but it's more like when you get into a DB's frame and you close the cushion with him. You get skinny on your release. So let's play this full speed. So this wide receiver does a great job attacking leverage, getting back into the DB to create space for the quarterback to throw you open, right? So, and he ends up catching this thing. I'll play it full speed. So when he's here, he easily could just keep running and round this thing off to the corner route, right? Easily could do that. And the only problem with that is that he's not giving the quarterback enough space to throw him open. Because when it's man coverage, a quarterback is taught to put this ball with some air and kind of lead you and let you go chase it down. So if you're running this corner route and you don't get skinny, what ends up happening is you just run outside and then round it off, and then there's no space, and that quarterback ends up throwing it either late or maybe out of bounds because the timing is off because you didn't stay on this straight line. So getting skinny is this right here, where you get back into the DB. You either work to restack so you're directly over the top of him, or you could lean into him at the break point, but you see how much more space the quarterback has, and he could actually lead you and throw you open. That is the whole goal of getting skinny. So when I say get skinny, that's what I mean. You have to get skinny on every single route. You have to try to work to restack on every single route. Like, let's say, for example, he was running let's say this DB was outside leverage and he had to run a corner. If he were to take the inside release and that DB was outside shade, he wouldn't just run away and then try to round it. He would get back into this guy if he was outside shade, so he could either throw him by or work to restack, one of the two. So on every single route, anytime that you have to push up vertical and either restack or lean into the guy or throw by, we have to get skinny and we have to get back on my line, aka getting hip to hip with the DB. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Again, great idea attacking the leverage. When we don't have it, let's lean into him, get skinny, and give that quarterback more space to throw me open. So now, last thing I want to talk about here, and this is another term that everybody needs to know to improve your route running and improve the top of the break, is a trigger step. So when I say trigger, Trigger, trigger step, what do you think I mean by a trigger step, and what routes do you think you use a trigger step on? Okay, so you guys can go ahead and pause the video. And now we're going to break this thing down. So a trigger step, that is the step that you use at the top of like a comeback, a curl, a dig, in some cases, a stop route. It's where that step where you snap down. It's like a trigger of your hips to drop violently and for you to drop your pad level. So we're going to play this comeback here from Richie James. This is a famous clip, so you guys probably could have even gotten this based off the clip. But that first snap of his hips, this step right there, that step where he drops his weight, that is the trigger step. That triggers the hips, that brings the chin to the knee. That is that violent snap down, as everybody likes to say, that gets you in and out of the break. So what's the point of a trigger step? Why is that important? Why do I need to know that? You need to know what a trigger step is, because that's how you can kind of gauge the depth of your routes when it's zone, number one. And number two, that's how you can kind of get yourself into a low explosive position to change direction. Okay, so many wide receivers, what they'll do is they'll get up to the break point and they're very slow, because instead of using the trigger step like Richie James does and snapping down, they'll get up to it and they start to beat the drum. They start to chop their feet. It's a sink of their hips, not a snap or a violent drop of their hips. And all that does is slow you down. That trigger step creates energy. When you're running full speed into a break and you snap down violently, there is a lot of explosion right here. And that explosion we want to turn into acceleration so I could widen myself from the DB and drive back to the ball. So when I do this and I snap down and I have that trigger step, that just creates explosion. That's the whole point of it, is to get out of my breaks a little bit faster. You sinking your hips and chattering your feet, beating the drum, all that does is waste time and is going to make you take more time. So make sure that when you're violent, you are using that trigger step. Now, how does it work? Like against press, it's a little bit different, because against press, you're not really worried about steps. You're mainly getting to your depth. But let's say, for example, this is zone coverage, right? And like, let's say you're running like a 15-yard comeback. When you guys get to the next level, when you play college ball, some high school schools do this. Your routes are solely based off of steps. So it's like, hey, you're like, if it's zone, if it's man, different story. But when it's zone, very much so timing, especially on a route like a comeback. So you would be breaking off of like your fourth inside step. So the days of, oh, hey, it's a 15-yard comeback, those are over. It's going to be, hey, fourth inside. You better get to 15. So that means that like your fourth left leg, because that's your inside step, is going to be the trigger step, right? So you come off the line, like that's his first, like this would be, let's say, for example, that's his first outside, the right foot. That's first inside, second inside, third inside, fourth inside. He snaps down. So when it's zone, that helps you kind of sell vertical a little bit longer, because you have that step count in your head and you know that, okay, the fourth inside, that's my trigger step. And that can help me get out of the break faster, but also help me sell vertical longer. So that's the main point of the trigger step. That's why you need to know what a trigger step is. And that's why it's good to know. So if you guys knew what that was, that's good. You're ahead of the game for sure. If you knew what any of these terms were, you're definitely ahead of the game and have a high football IQ. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job selling fade. Great job using that trigger step to put his tips down and to get out of the break with as little wasted time as possible. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. It's always good to hear from you guys, and it's always great feedback. You know, it helps keep the channel going. And again, fellas, if you'd like to come work with us this offseason, me and my staff of coaches, we're traveling out to Columbus, Chicago, Dallas, Nashville, and Los Angeles. So check out that very first link in the description below. I'll see you guys next time.